18 is Shanghai Foreign Language School on the con side.
Judge ready? Opponents ready? The time to start now. Today, the world faces a catastrophic refugee crisis. As the concept, we strongly oppose the resolution. Unbalanced refugee restrictions in developed countries are permissible. Because this topic uses the word unbalanced and are, the protein must defend existing policies within the status quo, which are denial of entry, arbitrary detention, and the abusive use of the border defense. If it is permissible, then they have to prove it protects human rights. As Joel Babbitt, professor of philosophy at the University of Belgrade, explains, tolerance is the line between which is permissible and which is impermissible. What is morally impermissible can absolutely not be tolerated, and impermissible would mean abandoning the basic principle of moral evaluation. Contention 1. Restriction is a humanitarian crime. The restrictions presented by PROSEC can only result in 4 major bad consequences. A. Denial in borders. Rather than offering refugees and migrants a chance to avoid irregular border crossings, Europe has focused on increasing border controls and stamping up returns. Law enforcement officials use violence to illegally push refugees back and deny their access to asylum. Refugees are detained indefinitely and subjected to torture, beatings, rape, and exploitation by guards. B. Human trafficking. Restriction creates an environment where human smuggling and criminal networks flourish. Quote UNICEF, the children trafficking now amount to more than 1/3 of all children refugees. Organ harvesting from kidnapped refugees is a thriving business. C. Refugee camp disaster. Currently, around 5,500 women, men, and children are trapped in 2 small Bosnian towns without any basic amenities. Bosnia and Herzegovina cannot offer them adequate protection or living conditions, and improvised camps are unhygienic, lacking hot water, medical care, and sufficient food. European governments are not just turning a blind eye to vicious assaults by the Croatian police, but also funding their activities. In so doing, they are fueling a growing humanitarian crisis on the edge of the European Union. According to the European Union, most refugees live off $0.5 a day. Refugee camps present problems including overcrowding, inadequate water, food, and poor sanitation. This could provoke major outbreaks of disease. D. Hurt future generations. Since UNHCR, only 23% of all refugee children attend secondary school, compared to 84% globally. Contention 2. Developed countries have moral obligations. Most developed countries are still treating refugees as somebody else's problem. The 5 wealthiest countries are hosting less than 5% of all the refugees. Hiding behind closed borders and fears of being flooded, they have conveniently allowed poorer countries that are often struggling to meet the demands of their own people to host an incredible 86% of all refugees. The logic goes that developed countries are responsible for treating refugees, so their restrictions are not permissible. They have caused the suffering. For example, the worst humanitarian crisis in the world today exists in Yemen, is fueled by the U.S., who willingly supports for more than 60% of the Saudi Arabia's arms cells, which are used in Yemen war, and this causes refugees. European powers such as the UK, France, Germany, and other developed countries in Africa has led to many of these crises, exploiting and ruining these nations. Between 50 and 90% of infrastructure has been destroyed during the conflict. People do not flee from their countries for no reason, and refugees don't pop out of thin air. The developed world is directly accountable for the massive destruction and the fleeing refugees, so they must have a responsibility to also take care of them. Contention 3. Only developed countries can accept. Developing nations currently assume too much of a burden. 85% of refugees are located in developing countries, overstretching the system to cost amounts to $14 billion for each country. This has exacerbated poverty and unemployment. If developed countries shut their doors, the refugee burdens fall heavily on a few poor countries. They are at risk of falling into chaos, which can in turn form a vicious cycle of more refugees and more conflict zones. Thus, we're proud to negate. Opponents ready? Judges ready? My time starts now. For far too long, a vicious cycle known as the wealth gap has kept the refugee crisis raging.
We intend to break the cycle because we prefer permanent solutions. So proud to propose a four-part model on-site proposition. First, refugees, according to the UNDP, are people who have the need to leave their countries in order to escape civil war. Second, restrictions, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is a legal limit. In this debate, this is policies aimed at reducing the number of refugees entering your own country. Third, developed countries, according to the WTO, are sovereign states that have a developed economy. Fourth, a policy permissible prevents harm or leads to a good outcome. In my speech, I'm going to argue why the absence of refugee restrictions makes the refugee crisis worse and why there is a better alternative. According to Second Star, a journalist who lived in Syria, countries with refugees have two main groups of people: those disposed to stay in the country, the wealthiest individuals, and those unable to do so, the poor. However, between these two groups, only the wealthiest and best educated refugees can afford to start on the dangerous route to the country. Those without access to money, the poorest and least educated refugees, are the ones forced to remain behind. This is problematic for two reasons. First, the wealthy refugees leaving the country represents valuable human capital, as they are the professional class. The country as a whole cannot run without professional classes who know how to save lives, run financial institutions, and build factories. Therefore, after this group of people leave, recovery cannot happen. The best case scenario then is if we wait until a new middle class is established and gains the experience needed to run the country. What this means is we're going to see prolonged poverty in the country. The worst case scenario, and the much more likely scenario, is that the poor, uneducated individuals will be unable to work together and instead turn towards sectarian violence. Either way, the poor are going to be left behind, forced to make do with whatever remains the rich left them with. Second, this violates basic morality. We believe that all people seeking refuge in another country have the same right of entry into those countries. It stems from the principle of fairness, that is to say, equality, that everyone should be given the equal opportunity of receiving a new home. When only the richest individuals are able to attain refugee status, equality is violated. Note that the reason why this outcome is unavoidable without refugee restrictions is because countries want to benefit themselves. Therefore, it is in the country's best interest to only accept the wealthiest, most able refugees into their country because they benefit their country the most. However, they won't specifically restrict the poor from entering because then they'll be internationally shamed. They will simply open up the borders, knowing fully well that only the rich will be able to come. What is the alternative that we support on our side of the house? We prefer foreign aid and investments. We want the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom to give Syria, Afghanistan, and South Sudan money and resources to reconstruct towns, schools, and hospitals that were destroyed by their civil wars. What we don't want is for them to open up their gates selfishly, causing only more harm than good towards solving the crisis. By taking in the most skilled refugees, that will benefit them. We think the alternative is beneficial for three reasons. First, because reconstruction needs to occur anyway, it's unreasonable to state that we won't just leave the infrastructure of those countries destroyed and we won't ever fix it, especially because there are still individuals who reside there. Therefore, we need to rebuild these countries sooner or later. We think it's better to begin the reconstruction right now because the earlier we rebuild the country, the faster the refugee crisis ends. Second, if we do have trained professionals in the country, the operation will go far much more efficiently. This is because these trained professionals are the ones with influence in the country. They are the ones the other will listen for guidance and instruction. If we let them escape as refugees, the country will derail into a chaotic, leaderless state in which all processes slow down. Finally, reconstruction will benefit more people. Because it's economically unfeasible to evacuate every single refugee in the world, which is 25 million people, to other countries. Therefore, accepting refugees as a solution will always result in some people being left behind. This doesn't happen when we instead build the country, making the lives of everyone there better. The poor demands protection. This is why we are so proud to propose.
Are you ready? Sorry? Yeah. Okay. So my time will start now. So according to your conditions you talked about foreign aid, did you realize that foreign aid actually dropped by 95% according to Sweden's contribution, and Lithuanian costs dropped by 17%?
We disagree because we feel like when we restrict refugee entry, we can instead spend the money at the border control to more foreign aid. Now, after taking refugees, do you intend on them to ever go back to their original country?
Okay, we actually promote them to go back to their countries once we reconstruct these transitions. For example, once we let them into developed countries, their lives are rebuilt, and right after that, we will help to construct the current conflict zones and help out certain international groups so that they can actually return back. So it is a long-term goal for them to return back to their country, but currently for the short term, we need to have them collected into developed countries for their most benefit. So do you have a question? Yeah, sure, please.
Well, why would they go back to their country if the country they're currently at is much better?
Okay, first of all, we're saying that currently the countries, their original countries are not good, which means that we need more international groups and provided by developed countries to actually first take in those refugees for right now, and second, help improve the status that they can remove at least their country, which is the best method. Okay, so here's my question. About your contention, when you talked about like only the rich refugees can enter these kind of borders, can you illustrate that point?
Okay, let's think it this way. If a poor refugee and a rich refugee were to get to a country, how will they get there? The poor refugee probably won't be able to get there because they won't have enough money to leave the country. The rich refugee will just buy an airplane ticket, fly to America, and ask for refugee status.
Okay,
This is much more easier for the rich refugee to escape to a modernized country because the poor refugee does not have the necessary resources to get there. Yes.
Okay, so you talked about the inequality among refugees, but we're talking about generally about developed countries, whether or not they set the restrictions. So it's completely out of topic, and so as to say,
It's not out of topic because the reason the rich refugees are leaving is because they can go to a better country like the
I'm sorry, but you are basically rejecting the poor citizens, the poor.
We are not rejecting the poor citizens,
right?
We are rejecting
You
the
are
rich
saying
citizens that are corrupt, the rich citizens
Okay,
that are actually able to
That's a
escape.
question. Okay, so basically you said that because restriction.
I feel like it's our turn to ask a question.
Only poor
feel like
refugees
it's our
are
turn to
even
ask a
getting the chance to choose, right?
You're
You're saying that because they're rich people, so we should reject all poor people's benefits.
No, what we're saying that is when these rich people escape, the countries can never recover. But instead,
Why?
if we don't let these rich refugees escape and make them stay in their country, they will actually
Okay, stay in their countries where the countries are disrupted and in war. That's what you want to
Let
say.
me finish answering your question. They will
I
help
didn't even ask a question.
You asked me 3 questions already. I'm trying to answer the second one.
Okay.
Okay, so they will actually be able to rebuild the country because they are the professional class that have the necessary talent, money, and influence.
Okay, in the last 7 seconds, let me ask a question. Are you saying that rich people should stay in their host countries, which are disrupted by wars, and they have no possibility of going to that country where their lives are safe? Thank you.
Okay.
Now, opponents. Time starts now. I like to start with their framework. In this debate, it is not their burden to prove that there's going to be better alternative and then they can win. It is their fundamental job to prove that restrictions are inherently good. Because as the motion clearly tells you, it is about whether it is permissible to set restrictions, even if they can't find a better alternative. If we can prove restrictions are inherently bad or evil and hurts basic human rights, we shall win this debate. They cannot get away by simply telling you for a solve the problem, because we see that even if restrictions fundamentally abuses people, they cannot get away. First of all, on their first argument. But before that, I would like to remind you, throughout these 2 arguments, they provided you no concrete evidence, citing no research, telling you how these people are actually differentiated to such an extent that only rich people can go to these countries, and how these poor people are getting okay financial aid with their own home country. This you should not let them get away with no evidence presented in their case. But now let's look at their first case, which is about first human capital. However, this is wrong in the first place. According to Cardigan, an immigrant specialist on refugee issues, when these refugees arrive at the borders, they're also traumatized and they're poorly educated. Even if they're paid little. This completely oversold the case by telling you that not only rich people go to these countries, the majority of these populations are devastated. But if you don't buy this analysis, there's another one that you should buy. That is the reason why they need smuggling. They need a bunch of capital to actually go to these European countries. It is because there's a massive amount of restrictions being set across the Mediterranean Sea. That's why you need smuggling boats in the first place. That's why human capital is the fundamental problem on their side. But second of all, to talk about, okay, so the rich are being smuggled and the poor are trapped at the border. The problem is so it is still the fundamental of human rights, if you human equality, if you let rich people afford they're economically capable to afford smuggling boats into the country, while the poor are being struck at the border. So eventually, at the end of the day, all the impacts in Elaine Washington still stand. That is rape, torture, human exploitation, and the abusive abusive guards. The impact is super clear on the table. According to Amnesty International, externalization policies increase the likelihood of human rights violations. This is particularly the case if measures to tighten border control are encouraged and facilitated technically in countries with problematic human rights records. Empowering Coast Guard expose thousands of unspeakable abuses in detention centers. Even if it is only the poor people being abused, they still lose this debate. But now, why is their case fundamentally false? For two reasons. First, they tell you, okay, but what about all these skilled laborers? They need to stay in their country. First of all, this is not topical. This debate is about whether it is permissible to set restrictions. We can't stress this enough. Even if you have foreign aid, it doesn't solve the fundamental problem that these people are being trapped and beaten up at border controls. But second of all, we're going to overturn their aid contention. According to Axel Durker, Adriana Borges, and Sarah Langlos from Heidelberg University, there's no robust evidence on whether or not aid affects economic growth, political freedom, and economic or trade. Foreign aid can also bring perverse effect of creating more potential refugees in the first place, as it incentivizes governments to reduce their engagement in disaster prevention, and the aggregate effect on refugees flows is unclear because increases in income do not only incentivize potential refugees to stay, they might also enable people to pay traffickers and thus lead to larger refugee flows in total. So at the end of the day, they still have to defend wide restrictions and utility good, which do not cause human rights abuses, because at the end of the day, we give you two-country analysis telling you that these people are going through these restrictions anyhow. So why we should win this debate? First of all, we will provide you a principle ground telling you these countries are innately responsible for these people, but second of all, most importantly, it violates the universal rights, the only principle on the table. They cannot just get away by telling you, okay, it is okay if I provide you better financial aid, and it is okay for me to beat you up if you don't stay in the country. Very proud to oppose.
Note that in the crossfire, their only line against our case is that, we're taking these refugees during the Civil War, but we'll make them go back after the war is over. That is their entire line during the crossfire. Firstly, we just like to point out that that's not really how it works, because refugees are not legally obligated to return to their own nation after they're accepted. Secondly, we just don't think refugees will want to go back to Syria after they've been to the United States, for the simple reason that the United States has a high standard of living. We want the professional class to deal with their mistakes. We want the professional class to fix issues in their country instead of escaping into a developed nation like the United States. They asked this in the crossfire, and it's quote, "Are you saying that rich individuals should just stay in their own country?" And I think that is a fundamental misunderstanding in their case, because that is exactly what we're saying. We're saying that because of the fact that the richest refugees in the world are the ones who are the professional class, they're the ones who are the doctors and the diplomats and the ones with the skills to fix the country, they have an obligation to stay there and fix the mistakes that have been caused. Two things in the framework that we have an issue with on this side of the house. The first thing they say is that because this debate is unbalanced, we must defend existing policies. I'd just like to point out that existing policies currently right now aren't unbalanced right now. So our world is relatively accepting of refugees currently, right? The United States has over 300,000 refugees right now. We think this is problematic because these refugees are the professional class. We want them to stay in Syria and Afghanistan and help end the civil war. The next thing they say is permissible. It's something is permissible if it's morally acceptable, right? I would like to point out that morally acceptable is something that's really vague, right? We tell you today that the greatest principle in today's debate is life, and the most vulnerable group in today's debate is the refugees. Therefore, we should be weighing this debate on whichever side helps the most number of refugees in this debate. They bring us a few arguments in their speeches. The first argument they say is that border control is bad, right? They say at the border, refugee camps are unhygienic, etc. The first thing they have to say against this is we don't think this is exclusive, because refugee camps are not a direct result of restrictions. Rather, refugee camps exist because oftentimes countries don't have the resources required to reallocate a massive amount of people in a short duration of time. So even if you accept more refugees, we'll still have these refugee camps. Secondly, we think this problem can be solved without necessarily removing restrictions, right? Because the problem that they talk about at its root is just inadequate funding. Because we don't fund the reallocation of refugees. But if we don't fund the reallocation of refugees, we can save billions of dollars on our side of the house, increasing funding for these programs. Well, finally, we say that the reason why refugee camps exist in the first place is because of the fact that people want to escape their country, right? The reason why refugees exist in the first place is because people want to run away from their homes. We say that won't happen anymore when we are able to rebuild their country, when we're able to give them a better home already. They won't need to become refugees in the first place. The next thing they tell us is that, countries have a moral obligation to help these refugees because they gave guns to Saudi Arabia. We have two responses to this. Firstly, we think giving guns to Saudi Arabia is a good thing, right? It's justified. Because the reason we are giving guns to Saudi Arabia is because they need to fight terrorists, right? Because the civil wars that are going on in countries like Syria and Afghanistan is due to the fact that the government is fighting terrorists. If the United States and other countries didn't give these governments the guns that they needed, we would have only seen more lives lost. But secondly, we think that we actually satisfy the moral obligation on our side of the house better. Because we tell you that we can repay these developing countries by helping them rebuild their nations by giving them more foreign investments. Their only line against our entire case is that the rich will still somehow manage to get to developed countries through things like smuggling. We think that is mildly absurd, right? Because firstly, this is a minority of cases. Oftentimes, smuggling into a developed country is extremely dangerous. If you are caught, you can be sentenced to tens of years of jail, right? Therefore, we don't think the upper class of Syria and Afghanistan will be willing to take that risk. But secondly, we don't think that's an issue of restrictions, right? But actually security. Because if smuggling is a problem that they're so intent on fixing, then we can fix that issue by spending more money on security checks, like the border rent, and making sure that refugees are not being able to be smuggled into our country. Ultimately, we tell you that the rich are currently escaping developing countries and escaping developing countries. We hope to solve that. That's why we're very proud to propose.
Sure. My question, right? Okay. So you talk about the idea, the moral, the concept of moral is really vague. So can I ask you, torture, rape, human exploitation, are they morally correct or not, even according to a vague?
I told you in my rebuttal speech that all of these things that are happening right now are happening in refugee camps. Those refugee camps won't exist if we're able to make sure that refugees aren't created.
Okay, let's rephrase the question. Do you think rape, torture, indefinite detention is morally acceptable?
Those things are obviously not morally acceptable.
Okay, I got your point. Do you want to answer the question?
Yes, I'll ask the question to you, right? My question to you is, what happens to the people who are unable to seek refugee in another country?
How is that relevant to the topic that is about the permissibility of
Because
setting
we
up
tell you that the people who are most harmed in this debate are the ones who are not able to get refuge in another country, right? Because they tell us that they're going to take refugees. But when they take refugees, the people who are left behind are the ones that suffer. Yes.
Why do I have to answer the question in terms of how to best resettle refugees if we're debating whether it is permissible to set restrictions?
Because of the fact that we tell you when you take in refugees, the people who are left behind are the ones that suffer, right? Those are the majority of the people because the refugees are the richest individuals in our society. Yes.
So, how many pieces of evidence did you raise in your case to support your claim?
Probably 4 or 5.
Can you name one of them?
Sure. Give me a second.
I mean, sorry.
In my rebuttals?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want specific evidence?
No, I mean, how many, you cited to actually back up your claims? Because you seem to be telling me, majority of them are this and that, and then a bunch of mechanisms.
So you're refusing to address the logic of our argument and instead point to the fact that we don't have evidence.
So why should I believe your logic if your stance is on the pro side?
If the logic makes sense, then why are you asking for evidence? And we have evidence.
Sure. Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question, right? So let's for a second, let's talk about the people who actually leave, right? We tell you that the people who are actually refugees and get to go to the United States are the professional class, they are the doctors, right? So what happens to Syria when all of the doctors and diplomats leave the country?
Wait, so first of all, I don't agree with the premise of this question, which is the majority of the population going to all these countries are the elite, the social elites of these developing countries. Simply because I've already presented a card, the Korean card that specifically tells you that people are pretty economically and socially devastated. I don't think these are so-called social elites that they can't even find a job in England.
You are the refugees that can afford plane tickets and the expensive lifestyle of Americans.
Sorry, can I ask a question now?
Yes.
Okay, you regard the 28,000 Yemenis being killed in the Yemeni battlefield as terrorists.
We say that the people who actively go against the government are terrorists. We tell you that civil wars are currently going on because of terrorism. That is all we are saying. We're not saying anything.
Civil wars in Syria and Yemen primarily because of terrorism.
Because of the fact that there are terrorist groups in those nations.
Anything. I didn't really have. Yeah, just we'll just keep the prep running, a running prep, like we just have.
Okay, John. John's ready? The partner's ready? Okay. The summary would start now. So today the con side presents 3 burdens of proof for the pro side to answer. If they can't answer all the burdens, the judge will go to con knowledge. So developed countries should, can, and need to take refugees in. So they only look at the word or not look at the word or. Party must defend existing policies within the status quo and is unable to advocate for any alternative, which they have. So basically, the only solvency on their side is at 48, but it should not even be included in this debate, and you should completely strip that out of your full figure. So let's continue on to our first contention about restriction. It's a humanitarian crime. We told you about denial and borders, rape, torture, slave labor, human trafficking, organ harvesting, refugee camp disaster, where officials allowed $0.5 a day, and told you about hoarding future generation where they don't even get education. Remember, those only exist on pro side because they have restrictions and it directly causes the refugee camps to occur. So let's move on to the second contention about developed countries should. They have the obligation because wealthiest countries only host 5% of all the refugees, and 86% of refugees go into developing countries, which is morally incorrect. And contention 3 about only developed countries can. We're talking about your advocacy is they basically say that, okay, we give foreign aid to these developing countries, but developing countries can't even take it. Why? Because it costs them to $14 billion for each country, and it will actually cause poverty and unemployment within developing countries. It will cause the countries to actually collapse. Now let's move on to your first argument about the only rich people able to come. So basically, the first condition do not have any real impact. Or no matter if they're rich or not, it might be easier for rich to get into what they want, but that doesn't mean in order not to let the rich get into developed, we deny all poor people even the basic chance to even get to developed countries. So they're basically saying that in order to prevent the rich people to get what they want, they reject the poor people. That's morally unjust. Let's move on to our second contention about foreign aid. We specifically told you in evidence about currently Sweden's contribution dropped by 95% and UK dropped by 30%, meaning that aid is not sufficient enough and your advocacy is inadequate. And Jordan is unable to handle refugees because the aid they receive is insufficient to meet their needs, and their countries is collapse because of that. Thus, we strongly negate the resolution.
Opponents ready? Judges ready? My time starts now. Look, either we can save the rich refugees or we can end the refugee crisis. On our side of the house, we want to end the crisis. Not just help the refugees, but make sure refugees stop coming. Make sure there are no more refugees. Look, they say that we shouldn't deny poor the chance of entering the country. We're saying that if we send the rich people back to actually help build and rebuild the country, there will be no chance for the poor people to go to the countries because they will have a home in their home country. The Syrian refugees will get their home back, they will get jobs back, the children will go to schools. And we've got to do so much about alternative than actually, just accepting the rich refugees and letting the poor refugees keep on getting shot by terrorists. We feel like on our side of the house, not only do we help the rich refugees, we are also helping the poor people in Syria that can't escape and become refugees. Secondly, almost entirety of their case is on how border control is evil and how they rape people and kill people and send their organs to other people. Well, here's what we have to say to that. If we can give the Syrian refugee his home back, if we can give him his life back in his country, what is his incentive to go to America, to go to the border? There will be no incentive because they have their home back. So on our side of the house, after we give them their home, after we give them their life back, they won't even need to try to travel to other countries, meaning we won't need these kind of border controls. Moreover, the border control money can actually go towards foreign aid, which will only increase the speed at which the country is rebuilt, which will help more people. So on our side of the house, we end all of these rape and torture that they keep on bringing up. On our side of the house, we don't let the rich refugees escape. On our side of the house, we help the rich and the poor. We help them, we don't give them a home. We help them rebuild their home country. And it is because of this that we are so proud to propose
now.
So our Sarah card produced this outcome that like even if you pay these people like directly financial aid, they're still going to buy over these smugglers to actually go to these developed countries, and then necessarily they're still going to be detained at the restrictions.
If these people already have adequate lives,
can I finish my question?
Okay, first of all,
How
how
do
do
you
you
avoid-
ensure these adequate lives?
Because we tell you that the people who are able to leave are the richest in society. So presumably they already have a decent life
Poor people
in their
don't
own
deserve a chance to leave their countries and go to
That is the opposite of what we're
better
saying.
life.
On our side of the house, we are defending the poor refugees in this debate. On their side of the house, they only give a home
When
to the
you
rich
have
refugees, and that is
restrictions
what
in
we're
your
talking
country,
about.
you don't let them in. What do you say about poor people, right? You're saying that, okay, you're not
We don't let poor people in, but we also don't let rich
people.
people in. We make the refugees help the poor refugees in their own nation.
How do you
We
make
them
sure that
fix
they
the
help
problem
the
instead
poor
of
refugees
escaping.
when they actually
let's
have
get
the
it clear.
intentions?
Because they're doctors and diplomats,
Sorry.
and that is their job.
Sorry.
Okay, so even if like there's no refugees going to pass this restriction, that is your best case scenario, it is okay, morally tolerable.
It's not
or
the best case
permissible.
scenario, but it's the
Can
most
I
likely
finish my
scenario.
question? It is permissible to have a restriction system that fundamentally detains people, prosecute them, and exploit their very human rights. Is it permissible to do so?
Firstly, I'd like to point out that those human rights
Is it permissible to do
It's
so?
a yes or no question.
They happen on both sides, so obviously both sides are responsible for the harm.
Okay, restriction cause extreme humanitarian crime which exists only on your side. And we're saying when we're leaving the restrictions, we have questions, we're
No,
abandoning
they don't
this
take-
kind of
look,
humanitarian
Yeah,
The
crime.
humanitarian crimes that happen in refugee camps don't happen on our side of the house because we don't have refugees anymore on our side of the house. When we're able to end the civil wars.
Do you
Yes,
have
we have a question towards you guys. Because look, ultimately what this debate boils down to is a simple comparative, right? The comparative of which side helps refugees more. Do you agree?
No.
So you don't think the most important thing is today is helping refugees? Then
First of
what
all-
is the most
Okay, first of all, we're actually the side which is saving refugees. Let me tell you this. Humanitarian crime only exists on your side. Are you
But
saying that
do you
because
agree?
we're leaving restrictions?
Do you agree that the most important thing in this debate is helping refugees?
I
Because the party
believe
is
the
that
most
you
important thing in this debate is to prove that restrictions are not permissible. Simple
You
as
say that
that.
you say that you help refugees, right? But you
I'm saying restrictions
don't
are not
agree that helping
permissible.
refugees is the most important.
Judge, they're trying to distort our arguments and say this motion is about resettling all these refugees. But this motion clearly tells you, not here, but like it tells you whether it's permissible or not to set restrictions. Nothing about resettling refugees.
But
don't let them distort
Do
the
you
argument
agree?
today.
Do you agree that the most important party in this debate is refugees? Whichever side can show that refugee restrictions helps refugees is the side that should win this
Okay,
debate. Do you
how do you
agree
show
that?
how do you show that restrictions help our refugees when you actually
We
click on
told
the
you
link
how we
and
help
why?
refugees over and over again in our arguments. All we're asking is an agreement on the framework.
I'm gonna run some power. Opponents. Time starts now. The simplest reason you can just sign a combat right now is that this debate, the process is completely off topic. We are not debating how to best resettle the refugees. We have already set a very solid principle in the never challenge, which is about moral permissibility. That it is not tolerant that these restrictions can exploit all these people. It is not tolerant that these restrictions can actually enable Coast Guard to exploit these people, to torture them, and possibly kill them in the first place. Several reasons you should not buy their analysis. First, the Korean card we provided you from an immigrant specialist tells you that the refugees are not completely composed of the most affluent people from the Middle East. Most of them are also economically devastated. They can't speak the language, they can't find a job. Their analysis falls down. Second of all, the salary card tells you very clearly that even if you give them financial aid, there's also going to be perverse impact simply because these people are just going to spend the money on smuggling themselves to borders, which means that they can never get away with the restriction problem in the first place. Yet even if we take their best case scenario, they still lose this debate. Because even if there's no refugees going to these countries, and if these restrictions are determined to torture them, detain them, if only one comes, we still win this debate because it's fundamentally wrong. It is not permissible to set restriction. But why should vote for us today? First of all, we have already given you a principle backed up by evidence, and no this. They have produced basically zero evidence throughout this debate. This is not BP. This is not BP format. This is public forum. We have produced 2 cards supporting our principle, telling you it is morally impermissible to set restrictions. But second of all, we have the capacity is unique on our side. That the developing countries are uniquely the only stakeholder in this debate that can carry these refugees. This is supported by the Amara card from Washington Post, talking to you developing countries are not able to do so. On this debate, yes, we agree it's the welfare of the refugees, but the only solution is on the con side. Very proud to oppose.
Oh, can I have the rest of my prep time? 2 minutes. I find it highly ironic that they say we are not debating on the topic of the debate because we focus on helping refugees, when that is the exact same factor that they focus on. Because look at their arguments, right? They say that refugees are abused in refugee camps. They say that refugees are victims of crime. So presumably we can assume that because all of their arguments are about refugees too, that the most important thing in this debate is about protection of refugees. No one in this debate is going off topic. Throughout this debate, they realized that our alternative of fixing developing countries themselves is a better solution than accepting refugees. That is why in their model, they try to say that we must defend the status quo. Note that nowhere in the resolution does it say that we need to defend the status quo. In fact, because the debate is on balance, we say that we should probably defend a road with greater restrictions, while they should probably defend a road with less. Like we said from the beginning, right? So what is the comparative in today's debate then? On their side of the house, we agree that they help some refugees. But who are those refugees? Those refugees are the richest 5% of all of the refugees that exist in our world right now. That is, say, like 500,000 refugees out of 24 million, right? Because those are the only ones that can afford a plane ticket to the United States and the United Kingdom, and they were the only ones who can afford the expensive lifestyles required there. But without the doctors and diplomats to sustain countries like Syria and Afghanistan, those countries will crumble, right? We asked them in our POI, what happens to the people left behind? We asked them what happens to the people who don't get a home in another country. They refused to answer because they knew that they were the poorest individuals in society. They knew that they were the 90%, they were the ones that were going to be left behind, and we enacted a policy on their side of the house. We tell you that on our side of the house, we promote things like financial aid. We promote things like actually fixing the issues in developing countries, making them face their issues through things like rebuilding schools, towns, and hospitals, instead of letting the most trained professionals escape their country into a developed country and not face the problems that they have created. Ultimately, we are the side today that helps the poorest refugees in our world. The poor demand defense, and that is why we are very proud to propose.